So this is the new Vivo X80 Pro. This is Vivo's new flagship for 2022. And this phone has a lot of similarities with phones from OnePlus as well as Xiaomi. And in this video, we're going to go through the Vivo X80 Pro and do a little bit of comparison with the OnePlus 10 Pro and the Xiaomi 12 Pro as well. Let's quickly go over the device. On the front, you get a LTPO3 AMOLED display. This is a 6.78-inch 3200 by 1440 pixel resolution display, giving it a total of 517 pixels per inch. This display is 120 Hz and is HDR10 Plus rated and has a peak brightness of 1500 nits. We found that the display has really good color reproduction as well as good viewing angles, and because of its peak brightness, it's easily visible both indoors as well as outdoors. On the top of the display in a punch hole is the front-facing camera. This has a 32 megapixel sensor with an f2.5 aperture. Flip the device around and you'll find a layout similar to that of the previous generation of the X series. And here you do get a 4-camera setup with a primary 50 megapixel camera. This is a ISOCELL GNV sensor with an f1.6 aperture. This does have gimbal OIS, so you'll get super steady shots. And then you have an 8 megapixel periscope sensor as well as a 12 megapixel telephoto sensor and a 48 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. The main camera is capable of capturing 8K video as well as 4K video at 60 frames per second and 1080p video with gyro electronic image stabilization at 60 frames per second as well. The phone is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon Series 8 Gen 1 with the Adreno 730 GPU, and you get an octa-core CPU as well. You'll have 3 options, one with 256 GB of storage and 8 GB of RAM, one with 12 GB of RAM and the same storage, and one flagship one with 512 GB of storage and 12 GB of RAM. You do not have a micro SD card slot on this device, but you will get dual SIM card slots. As far as the battery is concerned, you get a 4700 mAh battery. The phone does support fast charging with an 80-watt charger included inside the box with an advertised 100% charge time in 38 minutes. It's not as fast as some of the other phones that are in this price bracket, but it's pretty fast as well, and it shouldn't be a problem for most people. The phone does have an IP68 rating, which means that it is splash resistant and dust resistant and water resistant as well, and the overall look and feel of the device is pretty smart. Now, if we talk about the display, all 3 devices, the Vivo X80 Pro, the Xiaomi 12 Pro and the OnePlus 10 Pro, all have an AMOLED display. The Vivo X80 Pro does have an LTPO3 display, Xiaomi does have an LTPO display, whereas OnePlus 10 Pro does have a LTPO2 display. So you do have 3 generations of displays over here. Both the X80 Pro and Xiaomi's 12 Pro have a peak brightness of 1500 nits, which means that viewing content on this display will be better on both of these devices, especially if you're watching HDR content and you're able to hit those peaks. OnePlus is rated to a maximum of 1300 nits of peak brightness with a 800 nits of standard brightness, and while the other 2 devices have 1000 nits of standard brightness. All 3 of these phones have a 120 Hz of refresh rate, so you'll not have any issues with that, and all of them do support variable refresh rates, so you'll be able to watch any kinds of content, and you will have some battery life savings as well thanks to that variable refresh rate. All 3 of the phones have the same SoC as well, which is the Qualcomm Snapdragon Series 8 Gen 1, which is why benchmark scores are also quite similar, with Vivo performing slightly better in single-core performance and Xiaomi getting a better result in multi-cores. Vivo also outpaces the other 2 devices in the graphics benchmark, and overall performance-wise, all 3 of these phones seem quite well matched, whether you're gaming or are just using for day-to-day performance. All 3 of these devices give a similar result. One of the major differences in these devices is going to be the operating systems, and Vivo has the Origin OS running on Android 12, whereas on the OnePlus you'll get Oxygen OS 12 running on Android 12, and on Xiaomi you will get MIUI 13, which is also running on Android 12. So as far as the Android operating system is concerned, all 3 of them are well matched, but the user interfaces are different, and your own choice will sort of help you decide which variant you want to pick out of these 3 devices. One of the major deciding factors for people is the cameras, and in general the cameras are quite identical. Both Vivo and Xiaomi get a 50 megapixel main sensor, whereas OnePlus gets a 48 megapixel sensor. Both Vivo and OnePlus OnePlus have a laser autofocus in their devices, whereas PDAF is prevalent in all three devices, even though in certain aspects, especially in video, we found that the Vivo struggled to maintain and lock on focus on the subject and we had to tap several times. This was not the case with the OnePlus and the Xiaomi devices. Pictures are quite well matched, whereas in certain aspects Vivo has performed better, but the colors don't seem very well saturated and the contrast is a little shy of being good. In certain cases, OnePlus has performed well and Xiaomi has really good colors as well. We have the samples on screen for you so that you can decide which profile seems better. Now, all three of these devices also will support 5G when it becomes available in India, and all three of them do support really fast charging, with OnePlus and Vivo coming in at 80 watts. Xiaomi does have a 120 watt charger included inside the box as well, and you can turn on 120 watt charging if you need to, and that gives you full charges in around 18 minutes is what Xiaomi claims. But in general, all three of these phones have large batteries as well. Overall, all three of these phones are pretty well matched, and what you're basically going to see the difference in is the image processing from the cameras as well as the overall operating system that you get on the devices and which one you prefer to the other. And then the third thing is going to be what kind of service and after sales support you get from the brand. As far as specifications are concerned, these phones are well matched, and build quality and design wise, Vivo does have the IP68 rating and so does the OnePlus 10 Pro, and Xiaomi misses out on any kind of rating whatsoever. Both Xiaomi and OnePlus 10 Pro have Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, and whereas the X80 Pro does have Corning Gorilla Glass, but they don't specify which version of Gorilla Glass it is. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already a part of Team iGyan. This has been Bharat. I'll see you guys in the next one.